Hello and welcome to the PureClarity podcast with me, Andre De Guy. In this series of monthly podcasts, we're going to be offering key insights and expertise on everything digital and e-commerce. And in this episode 4, we're going to be talking about B2C online experience versus B2B online experience, and should these be the same? And I'm delighted to welcome two people onto the PureClarity podcast today. First of all, we have Dave McIntyre, who is the founder of Nightingale PPE, who provide affordable PPE equipment to consumers and also businesses wholesale. And we've also got Joe Berman, who is the head of marketing at PureClarity. Dave, Joe, welcome to the PureClarity podcast. How are you both?
Great, thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Very well, thank you.
Fantastic. That's great. So Dave, we'll start with you if I may. So for our listeners, please can you tell us a little bit about Nightingale PPE and also your role within the business?
Okay, so I'm a joint director. Myself and Aidan Cooper, we're both ex-military. We're both served in the military together. We both had separate businesses prior to the pandemic. And unfortunately, with a lot of other people as well, the businesses had to be put on hold. And prior to that happening, we'd bought a load of PPE wholesale for our own respective companies, and we were sat on it. And a friend of mine basically was trying to source some PPE one time, worked for another company. They were having difficulties, and just in conversation, literally, I was brushing my front drive, and he drove past to say hello. Just in conversation, it's like, I'm having real difficulty getting this PPE. And I walked back to my garage, opened my garage, and went, what, like that there? He was like, yeah, okay. And we went off from there. So spoke to Aidan, discussed the possibility of trying to set something up. And it was born from there. And it's just grown and grown and grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. So
fantastic. That's great. And I guess at the time, obviously, there was a huge supply issue at the beginning of the pandemic in terms of PPE equipment, and also people really jacking up prices. And I think that was something that you felt frustrated about.
Yeah, massively. So one of the items was sanitizer. So it was, everybody required or needed sanitizer. The price went through the roof. It was astronomical. You just couldn't get it in quick enough until local UK companies started diversifying, and as we all know, distilleries started making sanitizer. But up until that point, it was really, really difficult. On average, a 5 litre bottle of sanitizer was about £13, probably a little bit less before the pandemic. We were finding people who was spending £165 per 5 litre. Yeah,
crazy, isn't it?
And that was off, people that they dealt with for years as well. So we didn't like that. So we went out and we found suppliers who could give us sanitizer and other items at reasonable amounts, and then we could pass them on, which is what we started doing.
Fantastic. That's great. And in terms of sort of your B2B wholesale customers and your B2C customers, what kind of rough split do you have at the moment between wholesale and consumer?
I'd say it's 70-30. So 70 consumer, and then obviously 30% businesses.
Okay, fantastic. And how did that start? Was it wholesale first, or was it consumer first, or was it kind of a mixture of both? On day one, when we decided to do this, before we had a website running, before we had an e-commerce site running, we basically set up a Facebook site. Okay.
And our first business came in from that, and off the back of that was a business local to us in Southampton, where we have one of the offices. We're based in Southampton and Manchester. And then it started to trickle through that a lot of the consumer clients started getting their information offers from Facebook, and it just grew. Then we got the e-commerce and got the website running quite quickly to take over from the demand.
Sure. And I imagine you've seen massive growth for, since the start of the pandemic as well. We've had quite a few, businesses, our clients of ours, who've had to massively shift their business models. In fact, we had Comfy Homes on episode 1 of this podcast talking about they closed their high street store completely and shifted everything online. So, initially it was negative, but they made it into a positive. For you, I guess it's been pretty positive right from the start of the pandemic. Is that right?
It has. If you think about it, just about every single person in the UK is a customer.
Of course.
So, other than, the odd person here and there that, doesn't buy sanitizer or masks, everybody else has been using it. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of competitors out there. But it's, the main thing is getting our message out to people. And then once they find us, we usually find that the repeat customer and they come back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you find it has been organic growth? Have you had to do a lot of kind of outreach in terms of marketing, or has it just grown exponentially organically just because of the pandemic?
It's a bit of both. Unfortunately, we were, because of the pandemic and because of specific price gouging, we were stopped from advertising on certain forums. Okay. Which was really, really difficult. People had already managed to set up on those forums or mediums, but it didn't allow other people to set up. So we had to find different routes to market, hence why we started talking to Bobble, to PureClarity, to get the message out there.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And in terms of your main sort of challenges that you've been faced with over the past 15 months, what would you say they are in terms of Nightingale PPE?
Not enough hours in the day.
Of course.
Probably the new skills that we all needed. Because this was completely different. I didn't know what pay to click was, or and on all the other different abbreviations that we've come across, and the routes to market, just so simple. You would say simple things than not. I appreciate the worth behind all of it, but just trying to get a grip of all the different skills that companies like yourself have, Bobble, and the e-commerce sites, just trying to get around those there, because there's not enough hours in the day, and trying to learn all these new skills as a couple of individuals initially has been really, really difficult. Don't get me wrong, it's been enjoyable, but at the same time, scratching my head 3 o'clock in the morning trying to make something fit onto a different portal because I've not sized it correctly, and I can't call anyone to help me out because they're based in the US at 3 o'clock in the morning. But predominantly that time and all the new skills that we've had to learn.
Yeah, of course. And I guess that's why kind of automation really helps. So anything when it comes to digital that can be automated is a massive plus, isn't it?
Without doubt, it's been a lifesaver, genuinely. Just to know that whether it be an email that's going out on a regular basis, whether it's been an update on a website, whether it's been anything that we can automate that we know is actually going on in the background, allows us more time to get onto the stuff that we need to do. So the talking to the new companies, the talking to the new clients, to introduce ourselves to them.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk a little bit about customer experience on the site then as well. So do you find that your wholesale customers, they're looking for a kind of consumer experience now? I mean, traditionally, when I think back to the old days of ordering as a trade customer online, you'd have a form and you'd put in a load of product codes, and you'd submit the form and it'd go off.
Fax it over.
You'd fax it over. Nowadays it seems that, like yourselves, the B2B online experience is far more B2C. You can hardly tell the difference sometimes actually as well. And also you've got things like, Trustpilot on the site as well. All these kind of traditionally retail consumer type trust signals on the site, but actually it's predominantly servicing, B2B customers. So do you find your wholesale customers are looking for that same kind of consumer experience at the moment?
Yes. Yes and no. Yes, they are, and it shows. And the feedback we get is that's what they're looking for. There are still some companies that go old school, that want to fill in a trade form and they want to go through that application. So we have that process in place if that's what they want to do. But others would rather pick up go onto the PC, put their order in, and pay for it, pay it on a credit card and then get it delivered the next day, rather than going through the process of, like you say, putting in the SKU codes, ordering this, confirming that. They want it now. And that's something really salient, is they want it now. They don't want to have to wait. That's the carriers that we use are really good at that. 99.9 of our parcels that go out pretty much currently, I've probably done myself in there, but arrive on time or before they should be. And that's really important for the customer. So once it goes out, it gets there.
Absolutely. And that's something that we've spoken about on every single episode so far on this podcast.
The changing demands.
The changing demands, and the speed as well. People want things now. Whereas before, especially when the shops were closed, they could have just popped out into the local high street and bought it then. So therefore, they want to receive it quickly if they're having to order it online. That's really important, isn't it, Joe, in terms of speed?
Yeah, speed and convenience.
And convenience, as well.
The days of waiting for a week for delivery, are over. People want it yesterday.
We do find, or I find, because we just monitor it, obviously, that when the orders come in, there are certain set times, but, we'll get people who are ordering over the weekend at 1 o'clock in the morning because they're sat up doing whatever job they're doing. Yeah. And that's the only opportunity that they've got as a quiet period to order some kit, expecting it to go out the next day.
I think from looking at a B2C model, what was expected as normal 3 years ago. So you've got things like, making sure your product information is right, your products are consistent, making sure that information on the products. I mean, I think research shows that 67% of people, especially on B2B, are happy to go online, but they want the product information online before they go make the purchase. But not only that, it's the shipping options. So making sure that it's convenient next day, payment options, for example, what historically or now the different payment methods that are available on B2C are now expected on B2B as well. So you've not just got, you can have PayPal, you can have Apple Pay, the different ways, so that's now an expectation. And the terms of payment as well. So, with the B2B, whether it's invoicing or whether it's instant payment, people want the options on the B2B side as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of service, how important is it to you to service your customers and to give them a great experience in terms of the service they're receiving, not just the products they're buying?
It really important. We really do base it on customer service. We like to treat our customers how we would expect to be treated. So don't get me wrong, stuff goes wrong, but I'm a great believer in it's how you make it up when it goes wrong. So we do go above and beyond to make sure that the clients are happy. It's a massive, massive thing for us. Hence why after 6 months, we became the top rated PPE company on Trustpilot. Something we're really proud of. Yeah. And the feedback we get off there is really positive.
What's your typical customers then, B2B? Sort of, you say 70-30. Do you, are you servicing smaller B2B, smaller businesses, or do you have large clients as well?
So across the board. We go into the NHS, couple of trusts in the NHS. We have some one of the name dropping. We did the BAFTAs a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I didn't get an invite. I don't know why. I think if I turned up and had said my name was on there, they might have let me in. But and then we've got other people, like large, very, very large, well-known hotel chains, and we do a lot of TV production companies across the UK. Crikey, there's so many, they're so varied. It's across the board,
which is fantastic. If you're servicing sizable organisations like that, then your e-commerce experience must be pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's more and more recently that we've been getting more feedback to that they're finding it easy, and it's easy to navigate. The information's there, and obviously it goes out quickly to them that they keep on harping about. I did have a lady phone me yesterday to say, where's my parcel? And when I looked at it, I read the time wrong, and she'd actually ordered it at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had to explain to her that, we weren't working then, and, we'll sort it out this morning when we get to it, sort of thing. But, people do want it yesterday. There's no two ways about that. And 9 times out of 10, when we manage to accommodate them. Like I say, we'll go above and beyond because that experience is, it's important to us, and then they'll come back to us.
And in terms of, so obviously the website is crucial to your business at the moment. It's absolutely crucial. So in terms of personalization, obviously you're using PureClarity on the site at the moment. So how important is personalization, do you think, to the consumer experience online, and giving your customers that experience of helping them find the products more quickly that they're looking for?
It's massive. It's massive. We've got a current personalization on where it's back to work sale. We change banners on a regular basis, and I think it's important that you don't keep the same thing up for 6 months. We don't have the Christmas banner up there sort of thing, or welcome to Easter, or the sale banner, whatever.
Yeah,
that's changed, so they can see that's changing, so they know that things are happening on the website. It's important that it's run for us, in the sense that it's beyond us to do it ourselves, and we want it to look, presentation is a massive thing, and it wants to look right. So it's crucial. There's no two ways about it.
Absolutely. And I think we spoke on the last episode about delivering an Amazon-like experience. Amazon were obviously the pioneers of personalization. I think they realized long ago that it was kind of what customers wanted. They want to just see products they're interested in, particularly if the site's got hundreds of thousands of products. They want to see things they're more interested in. But really, that kind of experience is available now to smaller businesses and smaller websites. They can deliver that personalized experience through using a system like PureClarity. So
I think for B2B businesses, speed and convenience, so like you say, accessing the information they want to quickly and easily. But when they arrive on your site, it's instantly seeing products that they've previously purchased, or what the best sellers are, ideas of things that they may also love. So instantly they can click in the basket.
Yeah. Really
easy. And that's through the AI recommenders through PureClarity in personalization, that works instantly for you. So a B2B, experience, it's really important.
Yeah. So you're right. So when they come onto the site, because if they've been previously, it's either going to show them what they'd looked at previously, or it's going to show them what is hot at that moment that people have been purchasing. So it's, and it does work. We do find people, mix it up. And I would put that down to the fact that, they're being shown, directed down that line. I just wanted to add that one of the comments was that we were actually quicker than Amazon.
What an accolade. That should go on the website, I think.
Have a badge of its own, that
should
one.
Shout about that one.
Yeah. But,
quicker than Amazon.
That's fantastic. So obviously, we've spoken before about how, the pandemic has changed, consumer behavior, but we haven't really spoken about how it's changed B2B experience and businesses purchasing online. So Joe, keen to get your thoughts on, how things have changed for businesses when ordering online since the start of the pandemic. Obviously, a lot of people are still working from home, potentially not in offices at the moment. So, things have really changed for businesses as well, haven't they, since the start of the pandemic?
Well, they have. I mean, as the pandemic has evolved, the pressure to put everything online for businesses has been huge. The market research we did a few months back highlighted the fact that, the pressure to deliver online has been huge. And for some industries, that's been organic because of the nature of the products they sell. But for other products, so leisure, holiday, anything to do with, things that just weren't selling, sales just fell through the floor. But even those that grew organically, they've had to adopt technology a lot quicker than what they really had in their marketing or e-commerce plan. So that's put a huge amount of pressure on businesses, and now that things are starting to open up a little bit and some people are going back into, the workplace, there's a huge expectation now for these departments to carry on that growth rate. I know for yourself, David, it's, yours is organically grown through the pandemic itself, but for normal B2B businesses, they realise that the experience is critical, that when people arrive on the site, because they're historically now used to buying online, what may have been a telephone sales call previously, and it's now been transitioned online, they've had to have that UX, that experience spot on, so there's been a huge pressure for businesses to deliver. So yeah, that's pretty much been the experience on the B2B side and for the B2C as well. And it's still ongoing. So yeah, a huge amount of pressure on both sides.
Absolutely. And I think for both, as we said before, the speed is paramount. You know, getting those products to you quickly. Like you said, Dave, they don't want to have to fill out a form to register for a trade account and then wait till that's approved. And then only then can they place their order, because they want that product tomorrow. You know, they want it as soon as they can receive it.
Yeah, we had a food production company that we do a lot of business with, and they've got a couple of sites in the UK, and they do antigen testing on a regular basis, because they've had some positives within the different shifts, and unfortunately our parcel got mislaid, and it just sort of meant that they weren't going to be able to do their testing, and obviously that was a real issue for them. So off the back of that, you know, a separate courier was made to go down and make sure that they got their equipment on time so they could do what they needed to do, because, you know, you can't not have that for a food production company. And that was off a phone call. You know, look, it's not arrived, Dave. Where is it? You know, what you're going to do about it? Right, we've got a courier. We're bringing it down now, if we have to. A few years ago, personally, you know, when I've been dealing with big companies over the phone, it'd be like, oh, well, Manana will get it to you when it comes, sort of thing. And people just don't accept that.
They'll go elsewhere.
Yeah. And they're a really major client for us. So if that meant that, you know, either myself or my partner or someone else was going to get into a car, drive that down, it would have been done. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that. We have plenty of couriers who are very, very busy currently. But yeah, no, if people order something, they expect it. And, you know, otherwise, like you say, Joe, they'll be going elsewhere, and we can't afford that to happen. Yeah,
of course. And I guess with you, they're guaranteed a great price as well, you know, which is obviously a great thing for your customers.
Yeah. So the home of affordable PPE, you know, we genuinely couldn't sleep at night if we thought we were, you know, taking the mick out of people. Yeah, it's and we do see it. And, you know, I'm not going to throw any mud at anyone in particular. I could do for about 4 hours, but I won't. Unless, you know, there are certain items in the UK that are still price gouged, and it's really, really sad, to be honest. And, you know, we see it in the news occasionally where it happens, but no, it's a decision we made a while ago. Well, not a while ago, 18 months ago, that we're not going to do that because it's not right and proper. So, yeah.
And that's great. And obviously when things are in high demand, the price goes up. I mean, you know, look at building materials at the moment. You know, during the pandemic, I've had some work done on my house, you know, roof tiles. Price has gone through the roof if you can get hold of them in the first place. Yeah, if you can get them. And then, you know, I had a joiner around at my house saying the price of, you know, just wood, you know, basic wood has gone up. And, you know, saying as soon as they leave the yard, the price is likely to change. You know, it's crazy. So I think people in these times, they like to know that a price is stable and that they can get a good price. So I'm sure that's why you're doing so well, because your customers know that when they buy from you, they're going to get a really good deal.
Definitely. And more we're trying to go towards UK-based products. So everything in the, you know, if we can purchase in the UK, we're obviously putting more money back into the economy, creating more jobs, and people want to see the UK branded stuff. You know, it's a real changer for us. Yeah,
absolutely. And let's talk about shipping a little bit actually as well. So in terms of your sort of delivery options for customers, are you quite flexible? Do you use different delivery couriers? You know, do you find it a challenge sometimes to ship large orders?
Initially when we started, because we were trickling out, we were doing 20 orders a week, so it was nothing. So none of the big couriers wanted to touch us, and that was a bit of a problem initially. In conversation, you know, we asked if we could set it up for when we needed it. They wouldn't allow us to do that. Subsequently, that many more people worked from home. We then got way back down in the chain, so it took weeks and weeks and weeks, and led into months before we could get a good courier on board. Our sizes of items are predominantly, well, depending on orders and depending who we're going to, you know, could be from a simple box or a visor, which is almost an envelope, up to some really, really big articles, you know, so we're talking pallets going drop shipped straight into some locations. So we've got the ability to use people across the board. We've got some really, really good couriers who themselves go above and beyond when you need them, which is great. And which is why we go back to them. You pay a premium for it, but you know the job is getting done, reliable, which is fine. And that's a big thing. But yeah, having a courier, I mean, don't get me wrong, without name dropping, we use, the main one we use is Royal Mail, and fair play to them, 99.9 of the time, they're getting it there on time, and that reflects for us in the feedback that we get, that people are happy with it. Speedy delivery. So fair play to the Royal Mail; they're getting it done for us.
Absolutely. And personally, when I go on an e-commerce site, delivery is the key thing. I want to see that they're going to get it to me quickly, and that first experience obviously is so crucial as well. That first order, it needs to get there quickly. You need to have that great experience, because then you'll go back next time that you're looking for that product.
One of the main things, one of the key things that people look at when making a purchase decision is their returns and shipping options.
Yeah.
When can I get it?
Yeah.
What do I do if I don't want it anymore? If that's not visible and transparent, then people will tend to look elsewhere.
And again, that was a learning curve. Items that we had to, stuff that we had to add onto the website, and across the board. But fortunately, we've got good people that do that for us. So
yeah, that's good. Absolutely. So Dave, in terms of your advice to kind of other B2B retailers online, what advice would you give them, both now and then, in the future post-lockdown?
Customer service. Base yourself around that, because they'll stay with you and they'll come back to you time and time again. And then obviously, they'll talk to the friends and family, and that friend and family might be the CEO of a large corporation and he needs something, and people remember that type of stuff. Delivery, that's a massive thing. Automation, keep that, automate as much as you can, so it gives you spare time to do the stuff that's actually, not that it's more important, it allows you to do stuff that generates income. So it frees you up from getting tied down. Keep on going back to those customers and, opening channels with them, and, just old school ways, building relationships. And
on that customer service element as well, it doesn't necessarily just have to be by email or on the phone. I mean, we've got great functionality like live chats now. So you've got a customer service person talking directly on live chat, can be equally as effective. So you've got a multiple number of channels on the customer service.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Across the board. And it's something that we carry as well, because it is important. People don't work normal hours. They just don't, No, they don't. And, whether it be 1 o'clock or, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that they want to be able to get hold of someone. And your reply rate is really important. And, the stuff that comes through to our phone, 9 times out of 10, one of us will get back to them, just because it's a customer who's asked a question and we want to answer it now.
Absolutely. And it's knowing there's a human on the other side as well. I think that's crucial, because when we spoke to Jackie at Shop Happy last time, she was saying, well, the great thing about High Street is you can go in and chat to the shop owner and you can have a discussion, and, it's that human interaction, but you can still have that online as long as there's a human on the other end, and it's not a chatbot that's going to frustrate you, and that you're never going to get through to a person at the end of that chat. So having that human interaction, whether it's live chat or phone, or email even, it is a real person. I think that's crucial, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, massively. I've had many a conversation with many a more elderly person on the phone, shall we say, who's wanted to order something, and we found out about their family.
Chat.
30 minutes, and currently today they probably needed that chat. So it might have been a 20-minute conversation for a £5 sale, but you come away from it knowing that actually that probably just made a difference to someone today. Yeah. And that's fine, because I come away smiling 9 times out of 10 when I'm talking to these people, and I learn more about them. And I would never begrudge that, because I think it's really important. It doesn't happen every day. Can't afford to do it every day, unfortunately. But when I can, I do come away smiling.
Fantastic. No, that's great. So in terms of the future for Nightingale PPE then, what's next? What does the future look like? Obviously, we're kind of hopefully coming out of the pandemic now. What does that mean for your business? What's next for Nightingale?
So, yes, touch wood, we're going to see an end to the pandemic, which would be brilliant. There are still going to be people in the industries that use it. It has changed. I flew out of the country the other day, and, from the 3 airports that I visited, everyone was wearing a mask. So we're all going to be using them. We're all going to be using testing. sanitizer. There are areas that still are dialed into this, and they are going to be hospitals, care homes, all these types of places. So we're already, in with a couple of these locations, and it's just a case of growing that. And there will be the people that, especially with the health industry, the beauty industry, when you go to get your nails done or when you go for a massage, all these types of places will still use it. And it's just a case of getting us known in those areas and increasing our foothold, because, we are the home of affordable PPE, and we sell good products, and that's the feedback that people give to us. So it's just about finding more of these people and retaining them and giving them a good service and value for money. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even when the sort of pandemic's gone away, what we realized at the start of the pandemic was that everywhere was woefully underprepared in terms of PPE. So surely people are going to want to stock up now. Even when, coronavirus is a distant memory, surely they're going to want to get this.
I think it's now ingrained within the way that we live, is
exactly
PPE is needed.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain countries in the world that have been wearing masks for years, and we've probably laughed at them to a degree, but it has changed, and it has changed the way we do things. And there are certain elements that are going to be around for quite some time, and I agree with those elements to a degree, because it's it's not just protecting you, it's protecting everyone around you, which personally I think is important. So yeah, it's, people will still be looking out. To be honest, the last 2 months have probably been the busiest 2 months that we've had, and we're coming out of it.
And I think it's because we are coming out of it, there's that extra layer of precaution now,
Yes.
isn't there, that people are layering?
Yeah. The finding, specifically, one of the best sellers we have is it's a UK made Type 2R mask, and historically they're very expensive. They have been very expensive. They're not with us, but they're UK made, UK certified. They're a really good product, and people are buying into that, and we make reference to that as much as we can, because made in Britain, and that's what people want.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've seen signs on so many shops now saying, you no longer have to wear a mask, but we'd really like it if you would, please, to keep others safe, So I think places still are asking people, even though it's not legally required, to do that. So that's great. So I guess finally, Dave, what would you like our listeners to take away from this discussion, in terms of your business, in terms of, the pandemic and the technology in your website?
The technology is crucial. We're not going to get away from it. Like I said, anything that gives us the extra time that we need to go and make the phone calls, the emails, reply to them, is invaluable. The customer experience that I was unaware of, that I've been using for years myself when I've been going on to other websites, but I didn't realise that, I was going through that customer experience. It's invaluable. So yeah, it's something that, you need to look at if you want to increase your business and your foothold, and just give you the extra time that you need to.
And that's the beauty of artificial intelligence as well, because the fact it's all automated, it does the heavy lifting for you behind the scenes, so you can focus on what you need to focus on, and just know from a technology point of view that's all been taken care of.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'd like it to do more, but do my emails for me and stuff like that. But,
Make a breakfast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Stop going to Greg's, that'd help. But yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's great. So, well, that's been really, really useful. Thank you both.
If I could just add on to that.
Of course, Jo, yeah.
Just as a takeaway for B2B, and just to reiterate what Dave said on the personalisation side of things, with the AI recommenders and the automation is critical now to have embedded in your website. But it's not only that, it's about knowing your customers, isn't it? It's being able to segment your customers and know you've got your B2B and you've got a portion of 30% of B2C, but it's basically having that dialogue online with those in a relevant way.
Yeah.
And then you've got your final part, which is service. And I just want to reiterate the fact B2B service is absolutely key, whether that's through, delivery, speed, checkout, payment options, whatever you can do to expedite, I've made up a new word, expedite that process is critical, I would say, for B2B now.
Massively. Without, hopefully none of my customers are listening to this, but customers are fickle. And if you mess up, they're gone.
And they'll remember.
And they'll go elsewhere. And that'll be the first instance. They'll go and look and they'll find someone else and then they'll do what they're supposed to do. And you've lost them. And, so you have to keep on top of it. And that's how these, the AI, artificial intelligence helps.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Perfect. Well, Dave, Joe, thank you both very much for joining me on episode 4 of the PureClarity podcast. That's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
To stay updated on when our next PureClarity podcast will be released, please like and subscribe on your favorite podcast channel. Thank you all very much for listening today and take care.